It's good to see everyone.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah,
Great.
we're happy to finally promote the show and talk about it.
Yeah, it's always a crazy thing because you literally play the waiting game until you get the go ahead to talk about it. It's like you're sworn to secrecy.
I know.
Vanessa, I'm curious if you're ever conscious of the audience member watching a show like Wild Cards when you're making it, or is that kind of something that happens when you wrap? Because the audience is like a detective basically watching this show. Do you think about that while you're making a show like this, or does that happen maybe after you wrap?
No, it's not even when we're making it. You're just trying to bring these characters to life and focus on what the character would think. I honestly never think about what the audience is going to think until now. You know what I mean? Until I'm watching it now and being oh, what are they going to think about as the viewer? But no, I never consciously think about that.
No, absolutely. Giacomo, did I say that okay?
You said it perfectly.
Perfect. I'm curious because I love the journey of reading something in a script and then going and filming it and then seeing kind of the final product and checking it out on Video Village. What was that like for you specifically with this project, Wild Cards, kind of seeing it on script and then going in and kind of actually seeing it? Because I feel like they're two different experiences if you think about it, reading it and actually performing. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think when I read it, there was a lot of light and levity and fun to it. We got to sort of root for these really cool heroes that complemented each other in very interesting ways, but they were very, very different characters. I thought the mysteries each week were very intelligently constructed and fun for the audience and the viewer. I actually think a ton about the audience and the viewer. It's something I'm thinking about a lot, because just in terms of following the thread on set,
yeah.
I would constantly be talking to the writers do you think they'll understand this, or do you think it's been too long since we mentioned that guy's name, are they going to remember who he is? And I'm very sort of active in that, because
yeah,
I'm an audience member too, right? So it's when I'm watching shows and I'm they missed the mark on that, or they should have brought that guy, or his name sounds too familiar to that name and it's confusing, that people haven't sort of thought those things through. So but yeah, the journey to playing him on set was great, and it was pretty quick. I have to say, we cast and got shooting within a matter of a couple of weeks, so there was not a lot of time to prep, and we just kind of had to hit the ground running and come in with pretty clear ideas of who our characters were and commit to them. So but luckily we had a great time.
Yeah.
Giacomo, do you remember when we actually had that moment where, I can't remember if it was you or me that noticed it, but there was a guy who we showed was dead, but then he was in the background
yes.
of another episode?
And I said to them, this guy was from episode 3, he was dead, and then it was a whole thing. Yeah. Continuity is a massive part of what we do, and that whole role in our industry is so undervalued because it's super important.
Well, the reason why I kind of asked about the audience member is because I just find it fascinating with there's so many TV shows and movies out there right now, and I feel like there's different kind of audience members for different kind of shows or movies. There's that passive audience member and the active person. When you watch a show like this, you really kind of have to be dialed in. And I know a lot of people put on shows like Law and Order on sometimes in the background, Vanessa, and they just have it on the background while they're on their phone after a long day at work. But I feel like with this show, Vanessa, you're going to miss things if you don't pay attention. You know what I mean by that?
That's true. That definitely is true. You don't want to miss the little Easter eggs and things like that.
Kind of similar when I asked Giacomo about, the journey of kind of being on screen or everything. I always kind of want to know about learning experiences, because no matter when you've been on set one time or thousands of times, I feel like you're always going to learn something new because of the people you're working with, the body of work. What were learning experiences for you, Vanessa, on Wild Card specifically, from an acting storyteller perspective?
Oh, just so much. It was the Olympics of acting, is I like to say on Wild Cards, but it was just,
I love that. That's so good.
You're in every scene every day. I had to learn how to manage my time between having a son and then also not having and trying to prep for the next day or prep for your whole week. When do you make time for that? So it was a whole new learning experience. Usually before on Riverdale, I would have if you're working, 3 times that week, or even if you are working 4 times that week, you have your time to prep for, every scene every day. So, just that time management and how to memorize, and also just the amount of dialogue as well. So that was a whole new learning experience for me, which I'm so grateful for, because I feel like it's made me even better.
That's a good kind of segue, because Giacomo, I feel like, I'm just curious for you. I guess it depends on the projects. I mean, it's all storytelling at the end of the day, but even like there's different characters, different shows, different movies and everything. But I'm curious, do you separate projects and experiences, or like do you take things from Grey's Anatomy and transfer over to Wild Cards, or does it depend on the project specifically?
I don't think it's necessarily taking things from projects as much as it's taking things just in your life, like your own experiences. So it's like something that I took from my own experiences that maybe served me on a project, I might take out again because it also will serve me for this project. I had to do a lot of like, tactical weapons training. I did ride-alongs with police officers and law enforcement and in Vancouver, because that was something that I had never done before. If I had played a cop or done all that kind of stuff, this would be sort of more like dusting off my gun. But it wasn't. This was a new thing for me. So there was a lot more kind of research and work involved in that, and trying to do my best to portray it, authentically.
The drama component, Vanessa, obviously with Riverdale and everything, every episode of that show just had like 8 or 9 kind of mic drops every time I watched that show. I didn't even know what was going on. That was one of those shows where sometimes I would watch it. I was like, this is what is going on right now. But I'm just wondering from the drama perspective of things with this is the crime. It's got the action. It's got the drama. Do they complement each other a little bit? Your experiences on Riverdale, knowing it had a lot of drama, and then Wild Cards has drama as well. Does that kind of go hand in hand a little bit, or?
I think it's just very different. It's very different type of drama, honestly, though, there was one part that was similar. There's an episode where we have a coven that actually really reminded me of something I had to do in Riverdale. But so there's aspects like that, but for the most part, it's all very different. Riverdale had the supernatural element and different dimensions, which this show doesn't have. It's very, this could happen in real life. It's not as fantastical. So which I was kind of, after doing years of that, I was very excited to do something that like, wow, like this could be a real life situation.
Both of you have been part of 2 like massive like TV cinematic worlds. I just realized, like, it's actually crazy. Like, it's cool to also think about the fact that, you look at those experiences, Giacomo, and then you look at this experience. It's cool to kind of look at the opportunity of, the fans from Grey's Anatomy checking out Wild Cards. I know you go on to the other projects and everything, and we talk about kind of being privileged and everything. Is that something you think about a little bit as well? Because people kind of, want to see like what the next steps are for you specifically as an actor and storyteller. That's something, do you think about that at all?
Absolutely. It's like at the forefront of my brain, because it's like when you spend a lot of time on a show, and this is a plight that many actors have that spend a lot of time on a certain show, you sort of get pigeonholed or pegged as that kind of a actor or that kind of a role. It's hard to sort of people to see you in different ways. So when you have an opportunity to sort of switch lanes and showcase a different side of your talent, it's really exciting, and it's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to do that. Some actors would be very happy, being on a show for like 20, 30 years and doing the same thing, and that gives them joy and that stability. But, I would rather take a chance on having a less stable career that has much more valleys and ups and downs, but it's exciting and it's varied and it's different, and I'm learning so much. You know what I mean? So like Vanessa said, this project demanded a lot of us. So it was a great learning experience to be demanded upon that much, because I certainly hadn't before. So it sort of forced us to a new level.
Yeah, and to level up.
Anything else after this would feel like, like, what are we doing all this time?
Agreed. Sometimes we were even doing 6 days a week, which is crazy. But again, with like what Giacomo said about being pigeonholed too, a lot of people don't know this, but we actually had to change the name of my character because I was originally named Tony. So they were worried that people would think that this was like a spinoff of the last show, because my last character was Tony. So we had to change my name to Max so that people wouldn't,
that's interesting. But, the pigeonhole thing is interesting, but also those 2 shows, if you think about it, you both had a real taste of like the global fandom, right? The ability for a show to really go worldwide, right? If you think about it, Vanessa, right? Like that was, I feel like you look at a lot of your experiences on Riverdale, there's a lot, but like seeing the global kind of impact of a show like that, I feel like is like one of the coolest things, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like a lot of actors can't, there's a lot of incredible shows out in the world, and it's just like a luck of a draw whether or not it's gonna go to that level of fandom. And it never really hit me until I went to Europe, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah, you get recognized, you go out, but for some reason in Paris or Europe, I guess it's like it's very big there. So it was just like such an honor that like people even like are so passionate about your work.
Absolutely. And all the fan questions and everything. And there's a lot of things that happen kind of in wild cards, and people are going to have a lot of kind of theories and everything. I feel like you're prepared, Giacomo, for that, because you're kind of used to all of the like people ask you theories about Grey's Anatomy, and most of the time they ask you assuming you know the answers, and you probably don't know the answers.
For sure. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, a lot of times things are always asked. I was like, I have no idea. You know what I mean? I don't write the show. I'm an actor, so like, I'm only getting one script at a time, just kind of like you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might be slightly ahead of the curve, but not massively.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But yeah, that's always something that comes up in these interviews too. Like people just assume that you'll know everything and have all the answers, and sometimes
or will assume you have more say. Like I've done so many Riverdale conventions, and people will be like, so like why is the storyline gone this way, and like what, like can you like go back to like what it was, and like like cheat, like we're like, we don't, like trust me, like we're trying.
I know.
I
know. Last question before we wrap up. I mean, Wild Cards is going to be on CBC's in the new year, so they could check that on CBC Gem as well. Giacomo, what are you hoping they'll get out of it, takeaway wise, when they get to watch a show like this, takeaway wise, audience wise?
I just think the past couple of years have been dark for many different reasons. We've had a lot of like, political and wars and different things going on in the world. And I think right now an audience member isn't particularly wanting to turn on something that is going to add to that darkness, but maybe something that'll pull them out of it and make them smile. A reprieve, something that can sort of lighten their day, lighten their mood, hopefully maybe re-inspire their hope in something, you know what I mean, in their life. So that's what I think we're providing. We're providing light, we're providing levity, we're providing heart. So absolutely. I hope that the audience will tune in for that and see that.
Vanessa, what about you? Takeaways quickly?
Yeah, I love a show that you can also watch with your family. That like, me growing up with my mom, I would watch like Gilmore Girls, and like it was so nostalgic coming home and being able to watch that. And I just feel like this show, like you feel good when you watch it, and it's something you can watch with the whole family. And I'm proud to be a part of something like that. So
on CBC and CBC Gem in the new year, that's Wild Cards. Vanessa, Giacomo, so great chatting with you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was great. Appreciate it. Vanessa, I'm in Ottawa, actually. Small world.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I'm in Orleans. Ottawa East, for sure. Yeah. So
nice. I'm going to make a little stop there before our Toronto press in January. See my family.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, nice. Good to see everyone. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.